So hi guys, today we're going to have a look at the Circle Orboros starter set for Hordes. And I'm going to let my bias show because I don't really rate the Circle. I've played against them so many times. They're the most popular Hordes faction around here. And the amount of times that I've killed Warpwolves, I can barely count. But anyway, let's get on and have a look what's in the box. First up we get our Warlock, who is Kea the Wildborn. You'll see that she comes in a couple of bits. Again, this time, because it's all resin plastic, it's dead easy to put together. So there's her cloak attached. I've also got a little bag here that has her staff in it and the two tails of the Argus hounds. So again, much easier to put together this time around than if they're metal. So it's all little plugs and little holes, so you can just stick them all together. Dead easy. Of course, we get all the bases that are necessary to put these guys together. And then we have the Argus Hound. As I said, the tail for the Argus is in that little bag. But as you can see, we come with one solid body this time, and the two heads of the Hound, which just plug together and can then slip into the body. So they all just go in there. I'll need a bit of cleaning to make them fit properly, but there you go. Not a bad model at all, and pretty easy to put together. Finally, then we have our Warpwolf. If you've seen the Warpwolf unboxing that we did previously, you'll already know that these are the bits that you get. However, we have our head and our body, which of course just plugs into the pelvis. We've got our hands, the arms, again all with plugs now, so you don't have to worry about putting them together. Two legs, hands, the tail, and the arms. So let's see if I can separate these out a bit for you. There's the arms, the legs, the two hands, the body, which of course comes in two pieces, and the head. Of course, importantly enough, we get our stat cards. So we have the Feral Warpwolf, we have two Argus Hounds, and we have Kea the Wildborn and her spell card as well. But importantly, what do you need to know about the starter set? Well, in my honest opinion, I think that the Circle starter set is possibly one of the weakest starter sets out of the four factions. That's only personal bias because I've played it so many times and I know exactly how it works. That it seems to me that Kea is probably one of the weaker warlocks from the starter sets, but we'll have a discussion about it, and I'll show you. Her speed's 7, her strength is 5, her mat is 6, her rat is 4, defense is 16, armor 13, command 8, and she's a pathfinder. She has Splinter, which is her magical stick, that has a power strength 11, and it has reach, and it's a magical weapon. She's a fury of 6. Her special rules are she's pack hunters, living war beasts in the model's battle group and in her control area, gain +2 on melee attack rolls, which is that's always good. I mean, it just means that they're at least going to be more accurate. And Splinter has critical knockdown, so on a critical hit, the model hit is knocked down. Her feat then is Wild Mastery. Place up to 3 fury points on each friendly faction war beast in Kea's battle group that's in her control area, so you can immediately leech the fury points back from the war beasts in her battle group and in her control area. That is effectively a sort of smaller version of Asphyxius's recharging feat that recharges his focus. You're still only going to be able to put up to the maximum fury onto the war beast, and as far as I know, you can only take up the 6 fury that she has back as well. So you can spend all your fury. You can then leech it all back in the same turn, basically getting 2 uses of fury out of it, which is fine if you can find somebody to batter to death with Splinter. Problem being, of course, that Splinter's just a power 11. It can be done. If you use that extra fury for boosts on damage and things like that, you can definitely definitely do a lot of damage with it. I don't know. It's never worked. Any time I've seen it, basically it's never worked because I know it's going to come up. Therefore, it's always better to attack Kea first and try to get into combat with her, or slam war beasts over the top of her. So, her armor's 13, so it's a bit low. So I don't know. Her spells are Oculation. Target friendly model unit gains stealth, so its costs 2, has a range of 6, and can be upkept. That's really good until you face the Legion of Everblight starter set, where they all have Eye of Sight and basically ignore stealth. Everybody else has a problem with it, but in the case of the Scorn and stuff like that, Scorn really want to get into melee combat with you, so stealth protects you more or less from ranged attacks. So it's not much good against them either. Similarly, the trolls have more ranged attacks in the starter set boxes, but they really want to get into melee combat with you as well, because they're good at that. Although the Impalers have a great range shot. So it's good, but it's better in games that aren't the starter set boxes. That it's better whenever you mix it up a bit, and they're bigger points, probably 15 points. It starts getting good. Soothing Song costs 1, range is self, and has an AoE of control area. Remove up to 1 fury point from each friendly living faction war beast. Soothing Song can be used once per turn. Just a nice little ability for fury manipulation. Means you can run all your war beasts right up to their maximum fury, and then just take a point off each of them by spending 1 point yourself, thereby always making sure that you have enough fury in your warband that you're not going to be running anything with more than the basic amount of fury on it. So it's a nice little manipulation spell. It's well worth 1 point. It's quite good. Spirit Door. Now this is the main tactic of this starter set. It's the one I see all the time. It's got a cost of 3 and a range of control. Can't be upkept, and it's not offensive. Select a model in this model's battle group and in its control area. If this model is selected, immediately place it within 2 inches of another model in the battle group. This way, that was in its control area at the time the spell was cast. If another model is in this model's battle group is selected, immediately place the model within 2 inches of this model. A model cannot advance or attack after being placed by Spirit Door this turn. Right, that's a big mouthful. But what it effectively means is you can teleport. What you can do is you can cast a spell and grab one model and place it next to another model. So that model can be in combat as well. What it's generally used for is to either charge up the one of the Argus Hounds into close combat with somebody, and then teleport or let's call it Spirit Door, the werewolf into combat. It's within 2 inches, so basically you can put it generally around the side of a model, meaning it might be within reach of getting a warlock or a warcaster who's hiding behind another model. It can also be used to transport it to the other side of an obstacle or something like that. One of the best ways I've seen of it being used was exactly that, which is just running an Argus Hound up to a big wall that somebody was hiding behind, and then Spirit Door the werewolf to the other side. Dead easy. Then Spirit Fang is the last one. Cost 2, has a range of 10. A model damaged by Spirit Fang suffers -2 speed and defense for one round. It's a debuff that also does a bit of damage as well. So it's a range 10, has a power 12, cost 2. In all honesty, that probably gets used more often with Kea than not, because having a bit of a ranged spell is always good, and knocking 2 defense off with her +2 to combat melee attack rolls for the rest of the guys makes it, you're going to be hitting some really high defenses. Guys like Morgul who have defense of 17, I think he has. That's knocking him right down. to 13. So you can hit him nearly on average rolls at that point. So what else do we have? We have the Argus Hound. Argus Hounds have Fury of 3, they're Speed 7, Strength 8, Mat 5, Rat 4, Defense 15, Armor 14, and Command 6. They have a Doppler Bark, which is a Spray 6. It doesn't do any damage, but it does a paralysis that we'll talk about. Of course, because it's got 2 heads, it has 2 bites, both of which are Power Strength 12. It has a reasonable amount of hit points as well for damage, so you know it's good. It's only 4 points for an Argus Hound as well. The animus on it is Tracker. Target friendly models gain Circular Vision and Pathfinder. Tracker lasts for 1 turn. Circular Vision just means the arc, front arc on the model extends 360 degrees, so you don't get a back strike against them anymore. Pathfinder, it grants them Pathfinder. I have to say that most of the models in the Circle Orboros have Pathfinder already. Of course, Argus Hounds don't. Their Animus has to give it to them, but generally everything else does. The Warpwolf doesn't have Pathfinder either, but you know, it's useful if you need to be running through any of the terrain and things like that. But what you'll find is most of your units and stuff that you'll be bringing all have Pathfinder, so it's not bad, but it's only 1 point as well, so it doesn't have to be great. The Argus Hound has Circular Vision. Its Doppler Bark does paralysis, which is probably the funkiest thing that it does. The base defense of a living model hit by this attack becomes 7, and the model hit cannot run or charge for a turn. You know, once again, it makes all your guys loads more accurate if you can hit with it. It's a spray of 6, so potentially you can run the Hound up and then spray along a unit, or of course you can spray through a large model, getting 2 of them behind. That's the point, of course, at which you then try and Spirit Door to bring in the Warpwolf, to stand within 2 inches and try and hit the Warlock or Warcaster that's standing behind one of the big models. Because it's got 2 bites, of course, it's got a combo strike as well, which just increases its damage if you sacrifice both of its attacks just to make 1 attack. All in all, for 4 points, an Argus Hound is always good. It's nice and fast, it's nippy, it's got Pathfinder and stuff with that Animus if it decides to use it. And for 4 points, you can't go far wrong with it. Then, of course, we have the Warpwolf, the Feral Warpwolf. Feral Warpwolf costs 9. It's got Speed 6, Strength 11, Mat 7, Rat 3, Defense 14, Armor 16, and Command 7. It's 4 Fury. It has a bite for Power Strength 14 and 2 claws for Power Strength 15. It has Baying of Chaos as its Animus, which costs 2 and has a range of Self. Remove 1 Fury point from each enemy Warbeast in this model's command range. A Warbeast can be affected by Baying of Chaos only once per turn. 2 points worth for a bit of Fury manipulation on enemy models. It's all right. I don't see it. I never see it used very often, especially in smaller point games. In bigger point games, when there are a lot more Warbeasts about, it becomes a lot more potent. Or one of the great abilities for it is if one of your opponents has Warbeasts with only 1 point of Fury on them, you know, you can start removing Fury points and stuff like that. It can be good in some circumstances, but it's not great all the time. Warpwolves controlled warping. Now, this is the big one that Warpwolves do. Warpwolves basically are sort of can mutate themselves at will. So at the beginning of your activation, you can select one of these abilities. Protective Plates, where it gains +2 armor, putting its armor up to 18, which is pretty good. Warp Speed, where it gains +2 speed, going up to speed of 8. Or Warp Strength, where it gains +2 strength, basically going up to strength 13, which will be 16 bite and 17 on both its claws, which is pretty good. The Warpwolf can also regenerate, so you can force it for a point of focus or for a point of fury to heal D3 damage points. All in all, once again, the Warpwolf is one of your standard choices if you're going to be building a Circle Orboros force. He's good. There are the Stalker is good as well, which but it has slightly different abilities. The Warpwolf, the Feral Warpwolf, is a lot more user friendly because it has more abilities you can choose from. It doesn't have to always be offensive; it can be defensive as well. And it's one of the go-to units if you want to have a bog standard war beast in your faction. So there you go. That's the Circle Orboros starter set. The models are nice, and the new resin plastic versions of the models are a lot easier to put together and much easier to handle, especially if you're a beginner. I'm not a great fan of the Circle Orboros, as I'm no doubt I'm going to get complaints about. But the fact is that if you want to start a Circle Orboros, this is a good way to start. There are many out there who'll tell you that the Argus isn't a great war beast to start with. It is. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it for 4 points. The Warpwolf is great. Kea is possibly one of the warlocks that you may not use that often if you're a circle player. Certainly some of the other more melee-centric versions like Chromac and even Kea's upgraded epic version that comes with her own bonded warbeast is possibly a bit better. But I tell you what, guys, what do you think? Do you think that the starter set's fine? If you do, drop some comments below and tell me about it, and I'll get on. I'll have a look at some of the others.